Welcome back, everybody. I'm bringing my wife's Jeep up to the mine today to do some work on it, and lo and behold, it's snowing. Which I like driving on slick, icy roads. I don't like driving on wet, washed out, heavy rain roads. So we'll cruise on up and get to work. And once I got up here, it was 26 degrees. I figured, what better weather than to work on a Jeep? 26 degrees. Yay. Fortunately, by the time I got around to it, most of the snow had melted. What we got here on the Jeep is a bent leaf spring. This happened when somebody ran me off the road and I ditched it off to the side and hit a rock. Now by this time I hope you have stuff up on jacks and well supported. First we got to take off the front shackle, and then we have to remove the rear spring connection. Next we remove the spring plate, which attaches the springs to the axle housing. And in this case I had to use some rust buster because this is the first time it's ever been apart. Now, if you can see the difference between these two springs, raise your hand, because they look kind of the same to me. One's kind of rusty, one's painted, but other than that... Oh wait, I see it. It's got a bend in it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's fucked up. Alright, well, the new spring came with a bushing in one end, but not in the other. Fortunately, I had bought a set of bushings just to have some in store. It said to press them in, so I pressed really hard and they went right in. I'm glad I'm not having to pay somebody to do this.
Nice effect.
Alright. Oh, owie fingers. Owie, 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 owie. Okay, that was easy. Now it's putting it back together time. We're going to hang the front of the spring back up in the shackles and throw a couple of nuts on there just to make sure stuff doesn't fall apart while we're trying to put it together. I don't tighten the bolts up until I have everything assembled, because you will need to wobble the spring around a little bit, move it around, and you'll see later on why. Okay, now we're going to throw in this bolt in the back. This is our rear spring hanger. Put a nut on it. We're not going to torque it down yet. Next we need to bring the spring up to meet the rear end. And there is an issue here. This is why you don't bolt down everything or torque everything down. You got to get this pin to line up into the rear end housing. And if you don't, things won't go together. Alright, I went through and torqued everything down and double checked everything to make sure that it was in its place. We're about ready to put on the front wheel and kick it down off the jacks. And that's what it should look like. Everything the way it was except for that big black shiny spring down there. And give it 2 or 3 days, it'll be all dirty, and you'll never see the difference. And the ride is a lot better. You're not bumping up against the stop limiter and swallowing your teeth. Oh, here we go again. I got here, looks just like after it happened, or just after CHP showed up and shut down the road. So we're going to have to sit here and wait until they get things cleaned up.
2 hours later.
Finally, they're letting us by. Oh, that looks good.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up Is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
Hey, buddy. Rain sucks, doesn't it? Here's another car. Apparently he went off the road earlier that day. They had to call in this heavy wrecker to pull it up the hill because it's got to pull sideways.
Yeah, the ride down must have been a bitch.
I can't even imagine.
So when you see stuff like this coming up the hill at you, you just got to stop and realize that you're one of the fortunate ones that isn't over the edge. Well, that'll do it for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See ya!